Hello, my name is Kat, and today I want to talk about the upcoming book releases of fall 2018 that I am most excited for.
Get it, get it, get it, get it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, flip it, flip it, flip it. You made me say oh.
So there are a lot of amazing looking books coming out in the next few months here, and I narrowed down my list to a handful, maybe 2 handfuls. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, I want to share the Booksplosion lineup for the rest of the year. In September, we'll be reading SEAFIRE by Natalie C. Parker. This book just came out on August 28th, and it is the first in what is going to be a fantasy trilogy. This book follows the captain of an all-female pirate crew that is sailing the seas and also seeking revenge against this evil warlord. And according to the synopsis, this book is kind of similar to Wonder Woman and Mad Max Fury Road. So it sounds like a kick-ass feminist fantasy read, and I cannot wait to get to it. Next up is the October book of the month, which is GRIM Lovelies by Megan Shepherd, and this comes out on October 2nd. This is an urban fantasy that takes place in Paris, and the basic premise here is that a sorceress has enchanted some animals into humans to help serve her. But then the sorceress is murdered, and now these animals turned human, these beasties, they want to stay human, and they have 3 days to figure out how and to solve this murder. I love this premise. I think it sounds so cool and different, and I also really love that we're getting like a modern urban fantasy set in Paris. Like, I'm all about this. Next up is the November book of the month, which is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, and this one also comes out October 2nd. This is the first book in a new fantasy series that has some Japanese mythology influences. 1,000 years before the start of this book, a great dragon was summoned and granted a wish that plunged the land into darkness and chaos. So now, 1,000 years later, the dragon will grant another wish to whoever holds this scroll. Our main character is a girl named Yumeko, who is half human, half kitsune, which I believe in this book is like a paranormal fox creature. And she has a piece of this scroll, so of course she gets totally drawn into the chaos of everyone searching for this scroll so that they can make the wish. That premise just sounds really awesome. I'm kind of getting some Dragon Ball Z vibes, which I am totally here for. Also, I have just been meaning to read something by Julie Kagawa for a while now, so this seems like a great place to start. And the December Booksplosion book of the month is going to be Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, which comes out on November 6th. In this book, the human population has just been decimated, and now the remnants of humanity are trapped on this planet that is under constant alien attack. We follow a teenage girl who desperately wants to be a pilot and help fight against these attacks. But because of her family's legacy, she's not going to have an easy time getting accepted into the pilot academy. Then she discovers the wreckage of this ancient ship that seems to surprisingly and uniquely have a soul. So yeah, like, I was already sold immediately just because it's Brandon Sanderson, but female pilot and a ship with a soul, like, that sounds so cool. I cannot wait to read this. All right, there you have the Booksplosion read-along lineup for the rest of the year. All of the relevant info about these books and the live shows will be down below in the description, so be sure to check that out if you want to join us for any of these read-alongs. And now, let's get to the rest of these upcoming releases. So coming out on September 4th is Two Dark Reigns by Kendara Blake, and this is the third book in the Three Dark Crowns series. Earlier this year, I read and loved the first 2 books in the series. The world is so cool, and the story is so fascinating and complex, and I cannot wait to see where we go in this next installment. Next up, I have here The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, and this is out on September 25th. This book follows a girl named Elizabeth who is taken in by the family of Victor Frankenstein, and she ends up becoming very close with Victor. But Victor is not the most stable person, and Elizabeth just gets drawn into his dark world. I adore Kiersten White's books. She is one of my favorite authors. I've read almost every book she's put out, and this just sounds like a great, deliciously dark Halloween read. So I cannot wait to get to it this fall. Next up is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, and this is also out on September 25th, and also sounds like a deliciously dark Halloween type read. Much like Kiersten White, Victoria Schwab is another one of my absolute favorite authors, and I've read almost every book she's put out. This is the sequel to Vicious, which might be my absolute favorite V.E. Schwab book. I don't know. I have to reread some of them to like determine a ranking, but I adored Vicious, and Vengeful looks amazing, and I cannot wait to read this. Also out on September 25th is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I am so excited for this book. If you guys aren't familiar with Hank Green, he is the brother of John Green, and the two of them have a YouTube channel called Vlog Brothers. And that YouTube channel, Vlog Brothers, is what brought me to YouTube. Like, I came to YouTube from one of John's videos, and here I am today. So yeah, both John and Hank have been hugely influential on my life, and this is Hank's debut novel, and I cannot wait to read it. The basic idea of this book is that overnight, a bunch of these big statues appear all over the world. And our main character, a girl named April, she makes a video about one of these statues when she first sees it. And this video ends up going viral. So we have this mystery surrounding the statues, and this book also has themes of like internet fame, and it just sounds so good. And again, I have watched Hank and John both for years, over a decade on YouTube, and I can't wait to read Hank's debut novel. Moving on to the book releases of October, I have here Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, which is coming out on October 2nd. This is the sequel to Strange the Dreamer and the conclusion to that duology. I still have not read Strange the Dreamer. I keep wanting to start it, but I feel obligated to film a reading vlog while I read it, because I've like talked that up so much that I feel like I have to follow through now. So if I'm not in the mood to vlog, then I can't read it, you know? But I'm gonna get over that. I'm either gonna film the reading vlog or I'm just gonna read it, because I've waited long enough and I have to do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to read Strange the Dreamer, and then Muse of Nightmares. Also out on October 2nd is Map of Days by Ransom Riggs. This is the fourth book in the Miss Peregrine's series. The first three books do still work as a trilogy because this fourth book starts a new story arc in America. I actually have not finished the third book in the series because I was like halfway through reading it when I got hit with the great reading slump of 2016, and I put it down and I just haven't picked it back up. But I'm gonna have to, because I want to. I want to finish that trilogy and pick up this new book and see where this new storyline in America is gonna go. Also out on October 2nd is The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. This is the sequel / a companion novel to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, which I read last year and adored. In that book, we follow a boy named Monty, and in this book, we are following Monty's sister, Felicity. And Felicity really wants to study medicine, but she is a woman in the 1700s, so she's not really taken seriously in that regard. There is one forward-thinking physician that might be willing to take Felicity on as a research assistant, but he's in Germany, so Felicity ends up on essentially a pirate ship headed for Germany with the hopes of being able to study medicine. But of course, it's not gonna be that easy, and Felicity ends up getting drawn into this perilous quest that takes her all over Germany. Again, I just loved The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and I loved what we saw of Felicity in that book. So I am really excited that she now gets her own book and gets to have her own adventures, and I can't wait to see what we have in store for us here. Next up, I want to talk about What If It's Us by Adam Silvera and Becky Albertalli, and this is coming out on October 9th. Adam and Becky are two of my favorite contemporary authors, and the fact that they have come together to co-write a book just brings me so much joy. Basically, we're following two boys, Arthur and Ben, who meet in like a meet-cute kind of situation, but then they are separated and it becomes more of like a missed connection kind of situation. I am so looking forward to reading this book and discovering if we get a Becky ending or an Adam ending. Either way, I'm sure it'll be great. It's just a question of how broken will my heart be at the end of this. And of course, coming out at the end of October, October 23rd, we have Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the finale to the Throne of Glass series, and I am so ready for this book. I was late to the game. I only just finished Tower of Dawn, but I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I was going to, and now my hype for this series and this last book is at an all-time high. Like, I cannot wait to see how it all comes together. Moving on to the book releases of November. Not a whole lot for this month. I only have two here that I want to talk about. The first is Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer, which comes out November 6th. This is the sequel to Renegades, which I actually haven't read yet, but I love Marissa Meyer's books, and I've heard great things about the first book from people whose reading taste aligns with mine. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy the first book, and the second book is coming out in November. Also out in November is The Crimes of Grindelwald, the screenplay book. 2 years ago, when Fantastic Beasts came out, I went to the theater and watched the movie, and then came home and immediately read the screenplay book, and I loved doing that. Like, that was such a good experience. I felt like I really got to like be in the story, just immerse myself in that world for like 6 hours straight. It was great, and I'm tentatively planning to do the same thing this year. I just really, really wish that Grindelwald was Colin Firth. Like, can there just be a polyjuice accident gone wrong and he's stuck looking that way forever? And finally, the one book in December that I have been waiting for like a year and a half. And that, of course, is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This is coming out on December 4th. It is the third and final book in the Dark Artifices trilogy. I just loved Lady Midnight, and I loved Lord of Shadows even more, and I was also kind of traumatized by Lord of Shadows. And Cassandra Clare is one of those authors that just nails finales. Like, the third book in the Infernal Devices was amazing. The third and sixth books in the Mortal Instrument series are the best books in that series. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the best book Cassandra Clare has ever written, and I cannot wait to read it. All right, that is it. Those are the upcoming fall book releases that I personally am most excited for. I would love to hear from you guys if you are also excited for any of these books, or if you are really excited for a book that I didn't mention, please let me know so I can check it out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful night and an amazing fall full of reading, and I will have another video up eventually, so I will see you then. Bye!